Hello and welcome to class number 2, the most fun and enjoyable class, I bet, not only to watch but for me to film. This is a class where I'll be sharing with you, and you get to see decks for majors only works that I recommend from my collection that are potent and rich and fun. And this is also a class where I recommend for you criteria how to look around in your tarot collection, no matter how large and small, and select majors only decks or select. Let me explain. We're going to pluck out majors from your entire deck. So I'm really excited. This class is always so much fun. So let's start off by addressing that you clearly don't need majors only deck. There's nothing special about majors only decks that makes it any way vastly different from a deck that has the whole set of cards in it, all 78 cards. The only difference is that majors only decks have 22 cards only. But guess what? You already have a ton of majors only decks in your collection. Look at every single tarot deck that you have and separate majors from the rest of the cards. And guess what? Whether you have 5 tarot decks in your collection or 50, you now have from 5 to 50 majors only decks. So I want to be very clear. There's nothing special about buying majors only decks. It's just simply a deck that only has 22 cards, period. Now, having said that, I know that a lot of you may already have one of these very, very classic systems. Oh boy, I feel like putting Rider-Waite-Smith next to us right now. I'm hearing them both arguing inside of my head. I don't know why. I just feel like Arthur Waite and Crowley are arguing right now. Do you hear those arguments right now as I do? So this is me plucking out majors from these 3 systems: Tarot de Marseille, Rider-Waite-Smith, and Zoss. Chances are you have one of the stacks. So if your collection is limited to one deck, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and separate them so you can have majors separated from minors. Having said that, I'm also going to show and give you criteria that will make sense why I have this criteria for you, but it also will help you choose from your personal selection. As I always say, you don't have to buy any of the decks I'm showing you. You can if you want to. I'm also listing every single deck I'm showing you here, as well as every single deck that is depicted in your guidebook in a list of credits. So that way you have the name of the deck and you have either the artist or the writer of the deck, but you have a way to find the deck if you choose to find it. Now, to start off, one of the criteria is maybe you do actually have decks that are already majors only. And it'll make things a little bit easier for you because you don't have to separate from the rest of the cards. I actually have 3 majors only decks to show you here. The first one that I have is Tarot Universals by Sergio Happy. This is a majors only deck. I adore this deck. I got this deck not because it's majors only, but because the artwork is so clear. It is so symbolic. I feel that it's illustrated really well. I love the color palette. So you may have a majors only deck already in your collection that speaks to you, that you got primarily because of the artwork. Have you noticed, and I bet those who are watching, who are collectors of tarot, have noticed this because I have, and I'm sure you have too, how when we buy a tarot deck, oftentimes the majors are illustrated so creatively and so nuanced with some artists, not all of them. And then you get to the rest of the minors, and it's almost like you're hearing this beautiful symphony of music, and you start looking at the majors in the deck, and it's fireworks, 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 orchestra, and then suddenly the music dies down, rare. With some of the decks I have gotten, it feels that way. It feels like the artist has put so much into majors that either they had nothing left for minors or they just ran out of gas. And one of the reasons why that happens a lot of times and why we observe it so much is because, as I said in lesson number 1, majors are so potent. They're supercharged archetypal energies. It's easier for any one of us or for an artist to tap into the archetypes of the majors because they're so enriched with nutrients. They're so enriched with symbolism and just so much. And it is harder to do that for minors because minors are more mundane. And it is even harder sometimes to tap into court system because each element of the court system is different and because they, to a bigger, larger extent, demonstrate personalities and characteristics of a reader or people in the reader's life. This is why, again, majors are so incredible to work with because they are so supercharged. I like to use the word supercharged. If you want to buy majors only deck, if your hands are itching to buy majors only deck, if you are telling me, you know what, I really want to buy majors only deck, from the 3 decks I have, the one that I would recommend that I think is fantastic is going to be this one, and this is Inner Journey Tarot. One of the reasons why this one is fantastic is because the creator is familiar with Jungian psychology, and the keywords are keywords that gear more tailored more towards self-development, more towards self-individuation. And for that reason, when I read with this majors only, it automatically takes these archetypes into the realm of center of self, into the realm toward self-identity and self-individuation. And I love that for that reason. So this is the only majors that I actually do absolutely adore the way they have been created. But this is the Inner Journey Tarot. So look around your collection. Do you have already majors only decks that you especially gravitate toward? The last one that I'm going to show is Symbolism Tarot. This is by Ibiza, Kisses from Ibiza. They do a lot of majors only decks. And what I like about this one is that there are little quotes. There's a keyword, there's the title of the card, for example. This is, look at that gorgeous death card. This is all inspired by artwork of Gustav Klimt. And it says ending beginnings. And then you get a sentence, I'm willing to let go and change. And I like sometimes, not sometimes, a lot of times, I like majors where they're giving you keywords and they're giving you sentences where it makes you get deeper into archetype in a different way. The Star. The universe shows me that I can have faith in my dreams. I love that. So this is Kisses by Ibiza, 22 only major stack. Again, you don't need to have 22 only major stack, but if you wear, look for something that gives you a nuanced view into archetypes. So these are majors only. Let's get them out of the way. Now, the other criteria that I have for you to think about when you look around your collection of your tarot cards, tarot decks, which decks do you feel potent, feel rich, feel very powerful, perhaps have that crone, sage, wisdom energy? I don't know about you, but I can definitely feel a deck that has potency. Not all decks are created equal. Some decks are more playful. Some decks have more nurturing, loving potency. Some decks have more just kind of easygoing potency. And some have that rich type of I'm a sage, I'm your guide, I'm here to share my wisdom with you type of energy. So look at the decks, and I'll show you examples that have the type of energy. This is, oh my goodness, I forgot. This is also majors only deck that I have. This is a very interesting one. It's called Serpent of Icons. It's 22 majors that have been also organized a little bit differently. And there is also an extra, I believe, an extra card or 2 cards. It is a very unusual deck. I have a full in-depth review of this deck on my YouTube channel if you want to take a look, where I talk about the structure of this deck. It is very, feels very witchy, feels very occulty. The artwork is stunning. So if you're also looking for majors only deck, and if you are especially into witchcraft practices or any kind of otherworldly practices, this might be a great option for you. regardless of your practices, this deck is fantastic for action taking. It's really looking at the status of operant, which is a person doing the reading. Where's the yet? And it really focuses on helping you identify your will and where you need to take your will. This deck has 2 star cards, has the morning and night star. So very, very beautiful, very unique deck. Definitely take a look at my video review. I will go ahead and link that video for all of you in the graded section too. So if you download the guidebook as PDF guide, you can just click on it and it will take you to that video. So this is, as you can see, is very rich. Did you sense, some of you sensed as I showed it to you, how important this is? Definitely, without a doubt, has a lot of I think about majors a lot of times as supercharged battery, and this deck definitely feels like it. Another deck in my collection that feels important to me, and I encourage you to look for something similar. The decks that I've been showing so far have all been indie decks. And then the rest I have that are mass produced. This is an indie deck, Mountain Dream Tarot by Bia Nettles. A lot of you may know this, a lot of you may not know this deck. This deck is my understanding is the first ever photography deck that has been done. I already separated majors to show you what they look like. What makes this so important? And this might fit criteria for decks you may have. This deck, she's the creator, Bia Nettles, actually photographed people in her community to pose for this deck. So these are actual people from her community. Some are still alive, some are no longer with us. And what makes this super important is because these are actual spirits, human spirits embedded in these cards. So look around. Maybe you have a photographic, sorry, I have like, my hair keeps falling everywhere all over me like I'm shedding. Look around. Maybe you have in your collection a deck that has photography in it, that has a depiction of human beings. And depending how you feel about it, I feel like this is very important because it does depict people from her community, and some of these people no longer here. So I feel like I'm reaching into those human spirits for energy, human spirits for guidance. This is Mountain Dream Tarot. That's how you also can tell if the deck is potent. It has that tie and connection to people that were photographed in it. How many of you have this or something similar? Merger, just the name alone, Merger of Crows Tarot sounds to me very rich, right? When we think about the word merger in of itself, it elicits fire, energy, obviously, without a doubt, violence and aggression. It just suddenly makes our internal emotions go from 0 to 100. This is a deck that is very unusual. I love crows and I love crow energy. And this deck is, it's interesting. It's beautiful. It is very rich. I also separated to show you what the majors from this deck look like. And it's a black and white type of deck. So it's potent, even in a sense of its color saturation. Even the color saturation in this deck is, when we think about black and white, we think about polarity, we think about divisions, and just color of itself is very strong, very punchy, very to the point, very serious energy. So you can see the potency here. So something like this, look around your collection. What do you have that has that type of richness and potency in the deck? I etched mine in black. It doesn't come edged. So this is something that you can get on Amazon, a Merger of Crows. Another example of a deck that is potent. I have 2 more here, and I apologize. One of them is indie production. Let's go indie production first. This is indie but widely accessible Dust to Onyx Tarot. This is a melanated tarot deck, and it is, I feel like when I hold it in my hands, it comes gilded gold. These are also all the majors. I feel like when I hold this in my hands, I am tapping into some kind of ancestral roots. I'm tapping into deep, 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 oof, deep pathways of humanity, of existence. It's a deck that connects me to my heart. It's a deck that can feel and bring up pain. You can see, even as I talk, my tone of voice kind of went more deep and down. It makes me feel very like I'm climbing underground. Incredibly potent tarot deck. So look around. Do you have one that makes you feel this way, that brings up all of the things that makes you feel this potency, this enrichment? Almost as if this deck, if it was a plant, I can feel that the roots are going so, so deep into the ground. So this is Dust to Onyx Tarot deck by Courtney Alexander. Fantastic, fantastic deck. I heard people have some incredible supernatural experiences with this deck, and I do not doubt it. Now, one more potent example. This is mass-produced, recently came out, Witch's Sister by Julia Jeffrey. As a lot of you may know, Julia Jeffrey illustrated Realm Sacred, I think it's called Sacred Realm. Is a Sacred Realm tarot deck. And the book was by Barbara Moore. She is a fantastic illustrator. This deck, and you have a spread in your guidebook where I use this deck to illustrate, and the cards, the images just jump out. It photographs so beautifully. But this deck is something else. I'm still trying to get in touch. I'm still trying to get friendly and familiar, I aged mine, of the potency of this deck. The faces are so stark, and the faces are so illustrated in a way where it tells a story. Do you see how you don't need majors only deck? You already have it. And if you have this deck, all you have to do is separate, and you have this potent tool of 22 cards at your disposal. I'm showing to you the majors from this deck. There's something about the faces, the bodies, the color palette that takes me into the world of these individuals. And I can feel that these are energies of another world here to commune with me, here to concert with me, here to talk with me, here to lend their wisdom to me. Look at that. I have chills. How many of you have got chills when I show that picture? So this is a great example of potency. Do you see how we all can just feel the richness and potency of a deck just by looking at the images? So this is a fantastic example of potent deck. So look around. What do you have in your tarot collection? Which decks do you have that are potent, that are rich, that feels very saturated? If you choose something potent from your collection that I haven't shown, can you tag me on social media, on Instagram? Can you share with me which ones are you going to use? The next criteria that I have for you is this. Decks that are playful, that are fun, that are whimsical, that are creative, and I have four decks to show you. Why are we going after fun and whimsical decks when we're dealing with such supercharged energy? Precisely because the supercharged energies can be a lot. We're dealing with, and you'll see the spreads I have created for you in lesson number 3. They're all very deep spreads. I'm literally, each spread is a ladder to help you descend into your deeper sense of self. And while confrontation with ourselves is challenging, it is difficult. And for that reason, having a deck that is playful, having a deck that puts you in the element of fun and playfulness will make it so much fun to approach a serious life type of readings. And as you can tell, with Majors Only, I have created spreads for you that take you into serious life questions to ask yourselves. So for that reason, you want something that is playful and fun. This deck is hilarious. It's an indie deck. It is by Tony Lilone. I never got it. There's no name on this deck. It doesn't come with a booklet. It comes in a bag. I got it on Etsy a long time ago. It's still up for sale. I don't even know the name of this deck, so I call it Totally Lone deck. It's a rendition of Rider-Waite-Smith deck. It is hilarious. It is the only Rider-Waite-Smith to Etsy copy rendition that I have because it's so funny. Look at the images. So when you're doing the emperor is so unhappy. He's so pissed. I love this. Look at all the rage, of course, Mars energy. So when you are thinking about a deck, look in your collection, which one is whimsical, which one is fun, which one makes you laugh, which one takes an edge off, which one will well, you know what? The decks that I'm showing you that are playful, one of the other things that they're able to help us do is they're able to lower the walls of defenses. And when the walls of defenses are lowered, you are able then, your ego is able to get out of the way and you're able to get so much more out of the deck. Look at that. Oh my goodness. This majors crack me up. I just can't. This whole deck is such a pleasure to have. Look at this chariot with the eyes all popped out, freaking out. Even the horses look like they're freaked out. Oh my goodness. Look at the Empress. I love this deck. I can't. I have to show you every single card because it's so, so good. Okay. So you see how even now energetically I changed. I started smiling more. I started laughing more. And this is the power of majors only from decks that are whimsical. The archetypes make you realize that not everything in life is meant to be serious. Not everything, even though we're diving into serious subject matters, even though, for example, you have your first fantastic spread, I believe is what do you need to shed this month, just like snakes that shed skin. And that's some serious question, right? To ask yourself, what needs to be shed this month? What am I stepping into? As I shed my skin, how can I best do that? That's some serious stuff. So for that reason, having a whimsical fun deck is going to help you out. This is a recent one, also an indie deck that I got. Very affordable. I think it's $55. My Strange Tarot deck by Sunny B. It did not photograph as well. This is green in color. It photographed almost a teal color, but it's actually green. Oh, I wonder if it glows in the dark. It's a very fun deck. It's aliens. It's already comes edge green, and it's all green except the minor cards have black in it, and then all of the court cards and majors are green. So let me show you. Let me show you majors from this deck. Oh, it's making me smile already. It is so fun, so fun. So this is another example. Look at that high priestess. She looks like she's just coming back from some kind of apocalypse. I can see the fire behind her. Judgment. I love that, placing a phone call. So look around your collection. Which decks are funky, depicting aliens, maybe depicting animals, maybe a deck that depicts some kind of other creatures. Maybe you have a fae-themed tarot deck. Maybe you have a plant essence tarot deck. Have fun with it. Pick the one that makes you feel disarmed. I love the sun card. Pick the one that makes you feel like you are smiling. Working with tarot should be fun. We should be sitting down and yes, sure, we're digging in, we're trying to grow, we're trying to learn about ourselves, we're trying to understand ourselves, but this whole thing should be fun. It should not be terrifying or scary. Uh, you already know so much about yourself. And you have to trust that everything you have inside of you is already worthy and lovable. And so this is supposed to be an exciting part of discovering who we are on a deeper level. So picking a deck that is fun is going to help you with that. So this is my strange deck. Indeed, quite strange. This deck is a mass market. I already picked majors only. This is beautiful creatures tarot deck. I always get the name, yes, Beautiful Creatures Tarot deck. You can get this on Amazon, and it has that artwork by fantastic. I always want to say Jessica, but it is Jasmine. I have to look because I have the box down below. Fantastic big idols. I love big idols. this deck is so much fun. It just makes me feel warm and fuzzy. So what deck in your collection makes you feel warm and fuzzy? Which deck makes you connect to your inner child? Makes you feel like you are ready to play, makes you feel like you're ready to explore. Maybe you have this deck. Maybe you have something similar to this deck. And guess what? Remember how I said you'll be working, every single, and I'll share in next class especially, every single spread starts off with majors, but there is a master key, and I'll share next lesson, which is different master key than master key from any other of my classes if you've taken other classes from me. So if you want to go deeper into each major, you can use either Oracle or the rest of the tarot deck or completely another tarot deck. So some of you may have Lucy Cavendish Big High Doll Oracle cards, and you can definitely use those oracles to then go deeper in the spread. So if you don't have this deck, if you don't have any playful tarot deck, but you have this Lucy Cavendish Oracle Big Eyed, go ahead and take it out and use that. So this one is now you can see the example of how we're getting into this fun category. The next one I have that is also fun and whimsical is a collage deck called Boethius Butchered Terror of Earthly Delights by Carolyn Cannell and art by Paula Millet. This is quite whimsical in some areas, beautiful backs. It's an indie deck. But you'll see what I mean by whimsical. Some of the cards are maybe less whimsical, but some are. Look at this Empress, the way she's blooming. Look at this Emperor depicted as asparagus. Hilarious. Asparagus is quite potent vegetable. So this is a deck that is less playful, less whimsical, but it is so creative and so interesting. It makes me think also of Tarot of Mystical Moments. If you have that one, that will be a great fit for something that is so fun, so unusual, and really pulls you into a story. This deck does fantastic job of pulling you into a story. Look at this fool depicted as a donkey, fun, playful, but a great, great storyteller. Eiffel Tower for Tower card. Oh, look at that. So these are examples of decks that are playful. And I also have, by the way, a review of this deck on my channel that are playful, that are fun, that are creative. They are just really disarm your ego. Now, final category that I have for you, if you choose to go beyond traditional Rider-Waite Smiths and those and Tarot de Marseille system, is decks that you're going to feel like they're going to nourish you. Decks that nourish us are decks that feel like an element of like motherly hug. There's an element of self-care in it. They feel warm, they feel comforty, they feel like one big hug. They're a lot of times I would call self-care decks. They're very mindful with how to give you the message. This is a deck that I'm starting to get more and more in love with. Cozy Witch Tarot deck by Amanda Lovelace. You'll see I used images from this in your spread. And let me get the majors here so you can see what they look like. This is you can get on Amazon. This is a very lovely software. So if you want to do this work, there's the backs. If you want to do this work and you need a deck that is more loving, more touching, more self-care, more mindful, this is a fantastic deck. Puppy Palin, Enchanted Everyday Enchantment Tarot also comes to mind. Both are in the same category, very loving, very tender. This one is justice, and it says, stick to your truth and everything will turn out just fine. Ah, what a lovely message. So look around your collection. Which decks do you feel nurturing? Do you feel like huggable? Sometimes people call it huggable decks. Feel warm and fuzzy. Like I skipped the card, there we go. Feel warm and fuzzy. Feel loving energy. Feel like they're gonna give you a message, but they're gonna give it to you in a very loving way. This is a great example of that type of deck, and that's a Cozy Witch Tarot. Another one It is a great example of the type of a deck, and I have a pocket edition of this. Is Chris Ann Lightyear's Tarot. I don't think that a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this one, that this deck for sure, even though I know that art is not for everybody, but I think a lot of people will agree that this is definitely a deck. And look at this, I etched mine in green Sharpie. And this is definitely a deck that has a very nurturing, very loving, very collective, very universal, very human vibe to it. And this could be another one. So this is mass produced. A lot of you, this is a very popular deck in tarot community when it came out. A lot of you might have this deck. So you can just go ahead and separate majors, and voila, you have majors only, nurturing, loving, warm, and fuzzy, and uh, creative, and so human and so soulful deck. Look at that. I think that this is something that just stepped in the hearts of so many people because it felt so relatable. It felt instantly so connected to to human element, I would say. Although all the tarot decks are connected to human element, but there was something about the way this was rendered that made a lot of people feel like they can really resonate with the artwork. So that's going to be Light Years by Chris Ann. I love pocket editions. My goodness. How can you, my inner child just wants 1,000 boxes full of tarot decks. Can I have that? Sadly, not everybody comes out with the 10 box tarot decks. The next one that is so nurturing, so nourishing, has a ton of crone energy, but also has that mature mother loving touch. To me, good mothering has to be a mothering that reminds me of Kali Ma working with Kali, where she will tell you things you don't want to hear. She will tell you painful things, but she will do that with an aim to foster your growth and to help you grow. And this deck does the same thing. I picked out majors from Circle of Doors. You will see that I use Circle of Doors full card as a cover for your guidebook. I was very, very grateful that the creators of Circle of Doors gave me permission to use it as a cover of the art because I thought it was so perfect for our guidebook. But this deck, if you pick them, first of all, the entire deck, if you know me, you know that this is like next to those my favorite deck ever invented because it's so soulful. The guidebook is phenomenal, and it reads like insane. And so if you take out majors only from the stack, you have a very nourishing, here it is. Here's the full cards that you see on the cover of your guidebook. So fantastic, where there's her old self, but the new self is stepping out. Time for growth, time to let this go, time to embark on the new adventure. And that's what we're doing here with not only with this class, but that's what a lot of you are doing with working on yourself, focusing on yourself, diving deep into yourself. So really, really great. Circle of Doors is another one. And last but not least, that is nurturing, that is loving, that is so sweet, is going to be Jessica Zinchuk, Story Medicine, second edition. Oops, sorry. Did I just cover my face? I just had Circle of Doors fall here. So this Jessica has I believe there's 4 or 5. There's Story Medicine Month, there's Story Medicine Animal Woman. Yeah, there's 5 of them. Out of all of her decks, I really love Story Medicine, and I really love the first edition of it. You may have it, you may not. It's an indie deck, but this is such a great illustration of a deck that is potent with not only energy, but it's also nourishing, very motherly, very loving. It doesn't come with a guidebook. All of the majors, look at this grace, have a keywords listed on it. Oh, song. It's just so, the colors are lovely. It has a very ritualistic, very gathering, shamanic feel to it. I love it. You may have it. I'd be curious to know how many of you have this deck. So look around your collection. Which deck, again, has this type of warm, like you're coming home to a mom, as if mom is giving you that insight, that wisdom, Krona energy, sage energy, but in a nourishing way. And I feel like studying medicine, just the word medicine of itself, I feel like this deck is giving me so much medicine. So look for majors that you can plug from your tarot decks that have this energy, that has this love. And there's one more that I want to show you before we go on to our lesson number 3. Let me just put this into the box. I have this poor box that came from Game Crafters that is getting all unshambled, but what can you do? So the last one also that I think is very nurturing is going to be the Wild Unknown Tarot deck. Very popular, very well known. One of the reasons why I picked this one for the nurturing collection is because of this criteria. There are going to be decks that may have been the decks that first got you into tarot. Maybe it is the deck that first got you into indie deck collecting. Maybe it is a deck that first made you actually feel connected to cards. Everybody's going to be different. For me, that first deck is those deck. Wild and Unknown is also one of those other decks that when it became on the scene, it took off like wildfire. And it was, I believe it was like most first, the way it was done, the way it was marketed, the way it got into all our hands, the first deck that really took tarot into this more creative, different direction. And for that reason, this memory attachment that I have to it renders this very nurturing, very loving, very familiar. So look at the decks that have that familiar feel to it that immediately make you feel like you are journeying back into some part of your past memory that connects you to that loving feelings, that connects you to that memories that ignited that spark for you with tarot deck. Do you have a memory that ignited you with tarot? Which deck? Because sometimes a lot of us start off with Rider-Waite-Smith, Zos, Marseille, but then we find an indie deck that really lights us up like a Christmas tree, and it changes and alters our relationship to tarot forever. I remember my first indie deck ever that I bought when I realized there were indie decks on the market. I think it was 8 or 10 years ago now. Was Eileen Tabula Mundi. And I never forget when I ordered it, how it came wrapped in a paper wrapper and how the deck was so beautiful. The whole experience was so sensual, so beautiful. I will never forget that. And it made me fall in love with the art of the tarot. It made me fall in love with this tarot period. It just reignited a romance within me. So you may have a deck like that in your collection. That would be a great deck to use too, because you have that established collection with it. Finally, what I want to say is this, and I say this in every class when I show Oracle and Tarot cards. Pay attention to decks that may not necessarily fit the criteria, but that are screaming, yelling, pulling at you and want to work with you. Our cards know us. They know where we're at in our lives. I believe that. They know what we need. They know what to give us. So when you're looking for majors only deck to work with, and there's particular decks that are screaming at you, trust that it's screaming for a reason. Trust that intuition. Reach out and get the deck and work with the deck. Really, really important. Having said that, I'm so excited. Make sure you watch lesson number 3, because I'm going to explain to you not only how to best use workbook, the questions, bonus questions that you get, but also how you can use the rest of the tarot deck or any oracle deck to do the spreads that I have specifically created for all of you. So looking forward to seeing you in lesson number 3.